Today, we're going to be taking a look at converting data types in Python. We're going to cover in the beginning implicit conversion, and then we're going to go over some explicit examples. In total, I believe there's 21 examples in this video that we're going to be covering, and we're going to talk about different data types like integers, floats, list, set, tuples, and dictionary. So with that out of the way, let's start taking a look at how you can convert your data types. All right, so one thing that I need to cover before we jump into converting data types, throughout this tutorial, I'm going to be using type, and inside over here, we're going to throw in a parameter. So if you see, for example, I put 11.5, it shows as float, but if I put an 11, right, it'll be an integer. And this is just to show you guys that data types have been converted properly. At the beginning of this video, I'm going to be covering implicit conversions. Later, we'll be covering explicit. Now, implicit is when Python changes the data type on its own. And the best example on this, and we're going to start off by labeling this example 1, is addition. So addition, and let's say we had two numbers. We'll say number 1 equals 1, 2, 3, and then number 2 equals 1.23. So we have an integer and we have a float, right? What if we create a number 3, which is equal to number 1 plus number 2? So number 1 plus number 2, right? And if you look at the result of number 3, it's 124.23. But one of our numbers is integer, one of it's a float. So the data type on number 3, because it has a decimal at the very end, should be a float. If we go over here and we put in type, we throw in number 3 as our parameter for type, we'll see it is a float. So that worked properly, right? Another case where you see this happen a lot is division, which I will say also, by the way, you can do this with subtraction. I just didn't make this an example, right? If you do 123 minus 1.23, you're also going to get a float. But I want to show you an example now of two integers turning into a float. And division's a great way, right? So example 2, division, and we'll say number 1 equals 7, number 2 equals 11. Then all we're going to do is say number 3 equals number 1 divided by number 2. And if we grab number 3 now, right, it's a float, 0.63. And if I go type and throw number 3 in here, we'll see it's float. Now, you can also have multiplication turn into a float. So you would have to have one integer and one float number. When you multiply, it's always going to be a positive number with no, when you multiply on this side of things, right? Like if you times 3 times 9, it's going to be 27. You don't have that floating point decimal at the end when you work with whole numbers. So now that you know the basics of implicit, let's take a look at explicit, which is going to be the bulk of this tutorial. So explicit over here, and let's start off, and we're going to start off with converting a string to an integer. So example 3, just string to an integer. Okay. So let's say like we set number string equal to, and we'll say 1, 2, 3, right? Then what we could have next, and I'll just create a new line after I run this, is we'll have number int equals, and then you just put int and you throw in that string. So if I throw in number string over here, and we take a look at number int now, instead of the single quotes, you have an integer, right? You could add to number int if you want. And if we throw in the type down below, you'll see it shows as an integer. Okay, and then we can do the same thing with floats. So example 4, which I'm literally just going to copy this and paste this here. Example 4, string to float. And what we'll have is number string 2 equals 123.45, like that. And then what we'll do, I'm going to copy that. I'm just going to change this to number float equals, and we'll put float here and number string 2. And if we go to type, we throw in this number float, you'll see it populates as a float. Awesome. And we can do the opposite, right? So I showed you how we can turn string into an integer float. What if we wanted to turn an integer into a string? So example 5, int to string, right? Let's build a few cells. We'll do num int 2 equals 145, right? Then we'll say num string, I don't know what we're on, I'll just say 3 equals str. You throw your num int 2 over here, right? Have that. And then for number string 3, we say type and look, it's now a string. So you can't add any more number string 3. You have all the string properties you could use, but you can't use the properties of essentially a number, right? You can't add, multiply, divide, all that good stuff, but you can treat this like a string. So there's those. I want to do one more example really quick, and we're just going to throw a bunch of stuff into this example. So example 6, hexadecimal, octal, and complex. I don't use these, but it could be useful for you. So I just wanted to show this. So we'll say like num int, like what are we on, like 4 or something like that? It doesn't really matter. Is it 4, 5, 6, right? And then we can say hexadecimal 1 equals, and then you just put hex number int 4 in here. Then if you wanted to grab your octal, right, we'll say octal 1 equals OCT, throw number int 4 over here. And lastly, complex 1 equals complex, and throw num int 4 in here over here, right? So you have all of those, and just to show you what these turned out to be, right? 4, 5, 6 turned into a 0x1c8. Octal, we have 0, 0, 7, 10. And then lastly, complex 456 plus 0, j. Complex in Python uses j instead of I. So if you used I in your algebra classes, get used to j with Python. So, all right, let's take a look at converting some other data types. All right, so let's start off then with list. So what we're going to do for example 7 is we're going to convert a list to a tuple. And it's going to be easy. So we'll say list1 equals, and throw in some numbers over here. Again, it does not matter for this tutorial, which, by the way, I will have this code on my website. I promise that I'm trying to do a better job of uploading the code from these videos. The website article itself may not be perfect. I want to better improve them over time, but you can check out the source code. I will have a link down below in the description. All right, so what we're going to do is new tuple equals, and all you have to do is put tuple in here and pass through this list. And honestly, literally like just like that, you have converted your list. You can see this tuple, right, shows there. And then you put new tuple 435, 3453, and 23. Let's do list to set. So example 8, list to set. This one's gonna be easy too. So we'll say new set list equals set. And honestly, we'll just use this same list 1. We can continue to use that for a while. Dictionaries gonna be a little bit different, but we're not there yet. And just to show you what a set looks like, right? 435, 3453. And if you don't believe me, that's a set now. To type, throw this in over here, and it shows as a set. Now, dictionary is fun because you got to change up the formatting. So example 9, list to dictionary. Essentially, you have to have pairs in your list to make it work properly with the dictionary. So what we're going to say is list pairs equals, and we can do something basic like assign a number to a character of the alphabet. So basic example 1A, right? So you can see there how a dictionary works, right? There's key value pairs. So 2 goes with B, and we'll do one more. We'll say 3 and C for list pairs. And then, like everything else, one line of code, we'll say new list dict equals dict, and pass through this list pairs. Right, and voila, you have your dictionary now, which is awesome. And type. Not as easy as other ones because you do have to have a specific format for your list, but if you want to convert it, that is an option. So now let's take a look at the tuple side of things. So example 10, I'm going to convert a tuple to a list. And I'm also going to build a bunch of new cells. So what we're going to do is we'll say like tuple 2 equals, throw some numbers in over here. I think that's good, right? And so we're going to use tuple 2 for a lot of our examples. And new tuple list equals, and we'll put a list and throw tuple 2 in here. And check this out. We have our list 1, 4, 6, and 2. Now you can convert this to a set also. So that'll be our 11th example. Convert a tuple to a set. And again, super easy. So new tuple set equals set, and just throw a tuple 2 in here. And same thing, right? 1, 2, 4, and 6. And for example 11, well, that was example 11. Example 12, we're going to convert a tuple to a dictionary. So example 12, tuple to a dictionary. And like above, you're going to have have a specific format. So we're going to copy this and just change this to what a tuple would look like. So we'll say tuple pairs. And we're just going to remove these brackets on the outside and put a parenthesis there instead. So this is tuple pairs. And we'll say tuple dict equals dict, and throw your pairs in here. Just always remember, when you're converting to a dictionary, make sure you have pairs. That's how a dictionary is built out. And you can see how we've been able to accomplish that. Now, let's take a look at some set examples. So example 13 is going to be set to list. People want to say set list, but we'll say on this side of things, set 2 equals, and build out your sets. Again, numbers don't matter. There we go. There's our second set. And let's start doing conversions. So set list equals, and just the list, throw your set 2 over here. And now this is a list, right? Then for example 14, we're going to do set to tuple, on that side of things. So what we're going to do is set tuple equals tuple. There's set 2 in on this side of things. And just to show you that works, right? 1, 2, 4, 6. Awesome. And set to dictionary, set to dictionary. You already know how this is going to work. We're going to have to go back and make sure we set up set pairs. and just build this out to be like a set. So, which almost looks pretty close to what a dictionary would be. Obviously, it's different, but I'm gonna put set pairs over here. Set dict equals and dict, and throw your set pairs in here. And 3C, 2B, and 1A. Awesome. So now let's take a look at converting our dictionary into a few data types. So example 16, dictionary to list, right? And we'll say dictionary 2 equals, and guess what I'm going to use? I'm going to use, not that one because we're out of order, but because I'm lazy and I don't want to build out a new dictionary. So there we go. There's our dictionary that we will be utilizing. And list dict equals, and list, throw in this dictionary over here. But here's what you're going to notice. You can't just throw your dictionary in here. You're going to have to grab items. So grab the items over here. And show you what that looks like. We have 1A, 2B, 3C. But this is an interesting point, right? Because how do you want to convert to a list? Do you just want 1, 2, 3? Do you want A, B, C? Or do you want both, like what I did over here? There's 3 approaches that you could take with that. I showed you the items, but you could also go over here, go values, right? And you get ABC, or you can grab the keys. So we can go 3, and I'm not going to do this for every single one of these, but I just wanted to show you that there's a lot of different ways that you can convert this, right? Because dictionaries, you have your key value pairs, and you have these together, which turns into an item. So I think I ran that, and this will just be 1, 2, 3. So really, this will balloon up 3 times for each of them. So I won't do that, but determine how you want to grab your data from a dictionary and convert it. It's always the oddball, right? Everything else is so easy, but dictionaries adds a little bit of complexity to it. So let me show you how you can convert this to a tuple. So example 17, convert, we'll do this to dictionary to tuple, like that. Easy, tuple equals tuple, and we'll do the items again. So just use the items for these other examples and show you what that looks like on the tuple side of things, right? And then we could also convert to a set, and set do set dict, and then set over here, and we're going to do items again. And if you want to see what the set looks like, and this should be example 18, by the way. There we go. And again, feel free to use keys, values, however you want to grab your data. All right, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to convert strings into a few different data types. I know technically converted it to an integer earlier, but I want to go over some examples with list, set, tuple. So let's set a team equal to Rays. They're a baseball team out of Tampa. I grew up rooting for them, so I'll throw that in here. And we'll start off with example 19. I believe we're on 19. Yeah, so we're going to do string to a list. And all you have to do is string list equals, and we'll list and throw in our team. So like that, 1 line of code. And to see the weird formatting, there you go. RAYS, arrays. Then we're going to look at a set this time. So we'll do that. String set, and just put set over here. And raise, well, Razi. And that was example 20. And we're going to finish off the video with example 21. I'm going to do a string, a tuple. And again, one line like that, tuple. And to see what it looks like, raise. So let me recap this video before we go to our outro. So you can use type to determine the data type for something. I know I didn't use it towards the end of this video, but we went through 21 examples. But you have implicit and you have explicit conversion of data types. Implicit, Python does it on its own. Explicit, you manually tell Python to convert the data type. Implicit is more on the math side of things. I showed you that. At explicit, we started with some string examples, right? On that side of things, hexadecimal, octal, complex. Then I showed you how we can essentially convert lists, set, tuples all together. And dictionary is kind of weird. Anytime that you have to convert into it or out of it, you always have to have these pairs when converting into a dictionary. And when you're converting out of a dictionary, right, you have to take a look at items if you want everything in that dictionary, values if you want the value to the right, or keys if you want the item to the left, based off of your dictionary. And finally, we went through some examples of strings and converting a string to different data types that we've covered in this video. So I hope you guys found a ton of value in this video. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, if you're looking for other beginner Python videos, I linked 3 down below in the description, and I have a full playlist right over here that you guys can check out.